In this video, we're going to make a additional filter here, or a protection for data that is already existing. So for example, if I put in here introduction number 2 and I say 000 and I realize I still have to remove this one, put it in there, that's fine. But then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do another one. Let's say here next part, and if I then submit this, what is happening now? It gives an error. Sorry, the timestamp or this timestamp already exists, which is correct because we already put in 000. So we want to avoid that kind of mistake, because if we have this kind of mistakes, our timestamp will be messed up and YouTube will not accept that kind of mistake. But if we put it on number 1 here, submit, then it will work nicely and it will post it again in here. So let's start to look how to do this. So now let's continue on, and in this part 6, what is important here? This is an item that we haven't covered yet. So for example, I'm going to say here introduction, which is here. This is just hard-coded text. I'll probably have to remove that later on. But if I put it 000, submit, that's fine. And then what I want to do here is, for example, chartjs starting to use the template, for example. And then if I click on submit, this works well this also pushes through. And here's the problem. This doesn't make any sense. And of course, in YouTube, this is of course not allowed. What I want to do is to put a check in there and say, hold on, we have an error here because the value here is identical to the upper one. So how are we going to do this? So let's start to look at this. So we're going to go down here and we're going to look at our items here. What we need to do is we need to create what I will call an array. This array is a string value that consists of the value of the time. And basically the time is this one here. And once we put in a value within that array, it will be stored there, and we can start to search if anything else is in there as well. So what I'm going to do is here, I'm going to all up here, I'm going to create a blank array, constant, and I'll call this the timestamp array, very basic, and has nothing in there. So we're going to grab this here, and then this timestamp array, we're going to scroll down here. We're going to look into this. What I'm going to do here is, if we are succeeding in inserting the item, what I want to do here is this, and I say push whatever the hour value would be. That is this one here. I don't want the title. The title can be always different. That doesn't matter. But this hour timestamp, including the backtick, make sure backtick. All right. This here must always be stored here, because then this time we can later compare. So let me show you this. So what we want to do here then is, of course, this item, I'm going to do a console log in here. Just put it here down, that will be fine. Console log, and log out this value. So if I save this now, refresh, open up developer tab, and I'm going to say here something, 000, submit. What is happening now, it starts to recognize this item. So then I'm going to say here again, another one, 000, submit. Now we have 2 times the same value. So if we have another one here, put something else, we have 3 times. So this is fine, except I want to block it off, or block it, or restrict the insert or input of it if we have this same item here. How can we do this? Well, we can look at our input, and then we're going to compare it with whatever is in our current array. If we find anything in that array, in that case, we want to stop the insert and say error, we already have this time inserted. So what we're going to do here is another else if. We have a lot of else if here, but that's no problem. So I'm going to say here, I'm just going to do this. All right. Here I would say else. I'm going to say else if. And then what we're going to do here is we want to check after all these errors here if anything is correct. Else if there's a value in there. So we push this value always in there, and then what we want to do is we want to grab this one here now. We're going to say here if, and then we're going to say here dot index of. What this truly does is it will search if any value that is currently existing, or any value we just insert here, would be existing within our array. If that is the case, then what we want to do is to block it. If it's not the case, no, we can continue on, of course. So that's basically what we do. What happens here is the index of. So this index of gives a value if there's a value, it found the value or the array value in there, it will give an index number, something from somewhere between 0 and onward. If there's no value found, it will give a 0 minus 1. So what I want to do here is basically this. I'm going to just copy this entire item, put that in there. And then else I'm going to say here console log. This time already exists, or I know this timestamp, that's probably more proper English. This timestamp already exists. Save, refresh. Alright, introduction here 0, 0, 0, 0, submit. Alright, interesting, we already get this one immediately, so I want to know what is going on here. If timestamp index array. And I'm surprised, where did we push the array then? That will be the question, because the pushing of the array should be here and not there. Oh, sorry, of course. So what we're doing here is basically this. So what's the issue here is basically this. I didn't specify if this would be any value. So if there is none, it gives by default, like this would be true or false right now, and it gives us a false value. So I don't want that. So what I want to say here is the following. If this would be, if the value, whatever we get out of here, would be smaller than 0, it must be a -1 value, because then it means, sorry, there's no value, we cannot find any index value in this. Alright, so if I save this, we should have now the proper response. So I say introduction again, and then there we are, put that in there. Alright, interesting, this still is not working, so let me double check this. Alright, so I realized, my bad, what is happening, and of course this is, if it's below 0, it will be -1. So this is my own mistake, that I mess up my own logic in my mind, so it's a bit of a mind twister for me. So what is really happening here? So it gives us, let me just give you a visual, and then it's probably more easier to understand, and then I have to explain lesser. So I'm going to put that in a new console log. And this console log will show this. Alright, save that, refresh. Alright, 86, I guess we need to have here a double parentheses for the console log. Alright, save. Put in here something, 0, 0, 0, submit. So what happens, by default it gives a -1. Why does it give a -1? Well, it doesn't exist in here yet. Why? We didn't push it yet. So what I wanted to do, instead of having a -1, it should be, if anything, it is bigger or equal to 0. At that moment, then we should get the error, because then it exists in the array. Yeah, there we are. So let's do an intro, and then 0, 0, 0. Put it in there. Alright, and then we get another intro. And then we're going to click on that, and there we are. You see here, this timestamp already exists, and it gives the result where it is. Where is it? Index 0. So if we do now another one, let's do number 1. Alright, and now if I'm going to say here, new, put again here, number 1, you can see here now, index number 1, which is correct, because that's this part. So that works now, and we have this. What I want to do here, and I see here we have a lot of code. Let's delete this to clean that up a bit. And let's put in some enter here, just a little bit, just to make it a bit more relaxed for the eyes. Oh, not that one, if else, alright. So then, what I want to do here, instead of the console, we can just copy this. I'm going to put that in there, and then just say, this item should be assigned here. And then, of course, this timestamp already exists. Alright, delete that, delete this. Alright, so we have this, here, console log, delete that, save, refresh. So we have here an unexpected column, semicolon here, number 89. Alright, that's, let's see, error class remove, what is going on here? Did I just delete something unexpectedly? Or no? Number 88. Alright, you can see here, this dot is not allowed here, it should be here. Of course, it's within the string quotation. So if I save this now, there we are, we have this, and then I want to do only still one more thing eventually. Let's put that in there. Alright, that already exists. So this all works. So if I put in now something else, it should refresh all, it hides it all, put in there, and there you are. So this is the last item, and this is an optional if you want to. We can put in here like a capitalized text. That will be in the next video. We're going to focus on how you can put in a string a capitalized text only on the first letter. So if you would have here like hello world as a sentence, the H here, when we insert, should be immediately capitalized, while the others can just be a default, whatever we have.